With their thick trunks and gnarly troll-like shapes, old vines are full of history and they tell a story. Old vines require lots of care and ultimately produce lower yields, yet they do not garner higher prices. We love these wines and we need to make sure these historic vines are not replaced with younger vines. So join us as we share 3 old vine wines on this episode. Save old vines, drink old vine wines, give our video a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more. Many say that the average lifespan of a grapevine is 25 to 30 years. While there are no legal guidelines in the United States governing the use of the term old vine, it is usually used for vines of at least 50 years of age or older, and some vines can grow to be more than 120 years of age.
With deep roots, old vines pull their nutrients and water sources from far below the surface. As a result, older vines don't suffer as much vintage variation and tend to be more drought and flood tolerant.
Older vines tend to achieve a physiological ripeness more consistently.
But old vines tend to produce lower yields, resulting in increased concentration of the fruit.
Right. And old vines require a lot of care, yet they don't garner higher prices. As a result, old vines are often pulled out and replaced with younger vines.
But fortunately, some regions, such as the Languedoc in France, Santorini in Greece, Barossa Valley in Australia, and Lodi in California, are all homes to old vines. Although I think today we might find out about a few other places. So Cindy, where's your old vine wine from, and tell us about it?
I will. I am so excited to have found this wine. It's from Cantina di Marisa Cuomo on Italy's Amalfi coast. And the little backstory about the wine itself, or the brand, Grand Furor, I know I'm not pronouncing this right, Divina Costiera, is a brand created in 1942 to kind of accompany the sale of the wines of the Furore coast, which is made from grapes grown in the vineyards near the Gulf of Salerno. So Andrea Ferroli, who descends from the old family of local winemakers, purchased this winery, this parcel brand, and the brand itself in 1980. So his idea was to make wines of high quality as an homage to his ancestors and the place where he was born. So in fact, when he got married to Marisa Cuomo, he gave her the property as a wedding gift. And I love that story. The two now blend family and their passion for wine. And at Cantina di Marisa Cuomo, now named after her, they now have an award-winning brand. At one point, this particular wine I'm ready to share won the 2021 Tre Bicchieri Award, which is a huge and high award in Italy for exceptional wines. So the winery is at an altitude of 500 meters, and the average age of the vineyards is 80 years old. So we've got that old vine going on. The wines age in an old wine cellar, which is dug into the limestone rock. So I've got this beautiful wine, Marisa Cuomo Furore Bianco, Fior d'Uva, Costa d'Amalfi. It's around $75. And it's their flagship wine. This is the award winner right here. So it's a beautiful, striking white wine. The blend is of old vine native grapes. And they are, Allie, you can help me pronounce this, Finile, Ginestra, and Ripoli, cultivated on, thank you, on stone-walled terraces along the cliffs, which is located a few miles from their home, actually. So on the nose, let's see. On the nose, and then leading to the palate, tropical fruit, apricots, dried straw. And then on the palate, more dried apricots, candied fruit, which I love, hint of golden raisins, just a beautiful wine. It's aged in oak for about 9 months and 12 more months in the bottle. So it's very, very special. And I'm really happy to share this from a new to me region, actually. Allison, how about you? Where's your old vine wine from?
Well, my wine is from Lodi and from the very famous 135-year-old Bechtold vineyard, which is believed to be the oldest surviving Cinsault vineyard in the world. I visited this vineyard and it's like a big sand pit. The grapes are planted on their own roots and they're dry farmed, they're organic, and they produce very low yields. And here's a fun fact. These vines were planted the same year Grover Cleveland was president, the same year Coca-Cola was invented, and the same year the Statue of Liberty was dedicated. So long time ago. And they look like these little monsters growing up out of the ground. They're the coolest vines. So I have the Marcus Wine Co. 2019 Bechtold Cinsault, only $39. So, I mean, not an expensive wine considering the pedigree of these grapes. But Marcus Wine Company, based in Lodi, is owned by Swiss-born Marcus Nigli, who sources grapes from ancient vines as well as newer, unusual plantings to do small production wines. And instead of making single variety wines, he typically uses grapes like an artist does to paint different colors. He does that with grapes to give a sense of place. This wine in particular is 85% Cinsault from the Bechtold vineyard planted in 1886 and 15% Syrah from the Bora vineyard in Gill Creek Ranch planted in 2001. It is a brilliant ruby red color, almost translucent, like I can see almost through it. Beautiful red fruit, this kind of gravel aroma. There's black fruits like plum and licorice, but there's a really elevated lightness to it. It's got this like wet gravel minerality. The tannins are soft, not too intense. A little finish of kind of chocolate covered blackberries on the end. So, I mean, quite enjoyable, and $39, what a steal. So Christine, what about you? Where's your unique old vine from?
Well, it's interesting. I've got some fun. There's an Italian connection to my wine. And I do have an old vine wine, but it's not as old, I believe, as your wines are, ladies. I stayed close to home and chose an old vine wine from British Columbia. But not only that, I chose a late harvest dessert wine. My wine is gorgeous. It is Hester Creek 2019 Old Vine Late Harvest, made with 100% Pinot Blanc from vines that were first planted on the estate in 1968. These vines are 54 years old, which is quite remarkable given the fact that our BC wine industry is still relatively young worldwide. Hester Creek grapevines were first planted on the property by an Italian immigrant by the name of Joe Bustard. And he was from Northern Italy. And when he moved to the Okanagan, he looked at our sun-drenched Golden Mile bench and thought, this is the perfect location for European vinifera grapes. So, unheard of at the time in BC, he planted over 80 classic European vinifera grapes on the then 76-acre property. Now, Hester Creek Estate Winery is booming and boasts 115 acres. Kurt Garland purchased the estate in 2004, and the winemaking team is led by my friend, Mark Hopley. He drove me around these vines and showed me the vineyard, and it was a really special place, just having that sense of history. And as we said, the gnarly looking vines, they're just gorgeous. And I think that they need to be, appreciated for all that they are. So this late harvest, beautiful Pinot Blanc, and I love Pinot Blanc at any day, but they've done it so beautifully with this late harvest style. Just smelling it smells like sunshine on a hot Okanagan day. It is full and luscious on the nose, aromas of peach and honey and apricot on the palate. It is so bright, honey flavors, but those peaches and apricots and honey are unctuous and luscious, but they're not They're not weighed down. The acidity is super bright and the honey really shows through. And for $17.99, it is a 200 milliliter bottle, but $17.99 for this kind of quality and this style, it's an absolute bargain and it's so delicious.
Well, you know, whether they're 58 years old or 80 years old or 135 years old, they're considered old vines, and these are rare living history. I mean, they tell a story of a place. They, you know, as you look at those big trunks and they're gnarly, you know that they've weathered so many vintages, and that's what's so incredible. So we really need to cherish them, because if we don't, they'll be gone forever, and that'll be, our history is gone. So, you know, I say save the old vines, make old vines wines, and drink old vine wines. So you guys should go seek out old vine wines. You should also give our video a like and subscribe to our channel for more. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, ladies.